Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Matthew McConaughey.
Brad Gilmore.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The one and only Sydney Sweeney joins us. Sydney, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Tom Hanks and Robin Wright in my favorite movie of the year. Guys, thanks so much for joining the show.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Jessica Alba and Lizzie Mathis. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Kevin Costner joins us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
One of my all-time favorites, Vince Vaughn, joins us right now. Vince, thanks, man.
Oh, great to be with you, Brad, and great to be talking to Houston. Good morning to you.
We got Owen Wilson. We got Judy Greer. Thanks for joining the show, guys.
Thank you.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
We got Anna Sawai joining the show. Anna, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Brad.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What looking to talk to me funny, lad.
Megan Trainor.
Thank you so much, Brad. You're awesome.
Paris Hilton, the infinite icon herself, is on the show. Paris, love the film.
Thank you. I'm so proud of it.
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat.
And she's joining me on the line right now. You've seen her on WWE NXT. You've seen her on TNA. Heck, you've even seen her down here in Houston at Reality Wrestling with the 5-time champion himself, Booker T. And now she has a new book called Threads of Triumph, Professional Wrestling's Most Iconic Looks. It is the one and only McKenzie Mitchell. McKenzie, good morning to you. Congratulations on the book.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much. This has been such a labor of love. I can't believe I've been working on this for, a year and a half. And the thought in mind came about probably 5, 6 years ago. So to see the book out in a physical, tangible way is just a dream come true. It's been such a journey, and I'm so glad to be here. So thank you for having me.
No, I mean, look, a book in general is a labor of love. You know, having done a couple myself, I always question myself during the process of why am I doing this? And then by the time I'm done with it, I go, wow, I can't believe that I did this. Obviously, this kind of spurred off of after you started your YouTube channel. You were interviewing people about their gear, and to me, your wrestling gear is so iconic. It's more a part of the characters than sometimes the moves are. When I think of the Macho Man Randy Savage, I think of his look more than I think of the elbow drop, right? So what was it for you that made you want to zone in on the looks of pro wrestling?
I noticed throughout my time in professional wrestling that the conversation about costuming and gear and the wardrobe wasn't really being had. I think it's really hard in professional wrestling, really anything, to do a first of its kind. And that's what this book, Threads of Triumph, actually is. You exactly said it. When I was released from WWE in 2023, I had this idea the entire time I was there to do something that featured the wrestling gear and the wrestling aspect of how you're presenting yourself and connecting to those fans. It tells your story in almost a greater way than what even some of the moves can do in the ring. And so in 2024, I started doing my own podcast, as you mentioned, Threads with McKenzie Mitchell, where I interviewed Charmel. And we talked about that. We went into the closets of some of your favorite wrestlers and featured their gears and told their stories on those magical moments that happened from those capstone events. And I was interviewing Natalia Neidhart, and we started talking about the gear aspect and her family and the legacy and the Hart Dynasty. And she's like, McKenzie, you should turn this into a book. And I'm like, now, Natty, how would I turn this into a book? I don't know. I'm not following you. She's like, here, I think it could be a really beautiful conversation, just how we had on camera, but make it a different medium. So I took her advice. I got a literary agent. We shopped out the book to publishers. We got 4 offers in 2 weeks, which then reiterated that concept is there, that people believe in it. And so I started writing it really in the fall of 2024. And I say I've written this book on a plane, on a train, on a book, or on a boat, I should say. Like, I have been writing this book everywhere. And people would be wondering why I was head into my computer typing away. But to see it all come to life today on publication date is it's a dream come true. And I'm so thankful that I'm opening the door of this conversation to create a first of its kind.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, in pro wrestling, first of its kind are hard to come by. I mean, they're almost impossible. So to have this concept is so valuable. And then Natty, who did her own amazing book, kind of putting the battery in your back was the right move to do. So when you come to laying it out, though, when you're trying to organize this book and thinking, okay, how am I going to tell a full narrative in it? Because it's one thing to have a conversation and go through the closets and do the YouTube show, which was phenomenally done and well produced, but then to adapt that into the actual book, like what was step one for you? Was it like, okay, here are the wrestlers I want to focus on, or how did you kind of lay it out?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of figuring out who, because there's been so many iconic looks in professional wrestling that we could find more than 50, but we also knew we only had so much space in the book, and we wanted it to be a volume 1 to then set the table for volume 2. So it was really organizing who, and then going back and creating the content and creating the chapters of the book. I start back in the 1940s at the prototypes and blueprints, and then go to the golden era. We're at New Generation, then we go to Attitude, Ruthless Aggression. So we wanted it to really paint that picture of the way that gear changes over time, and being able to give homage to the people that started in the 40s and 50s, as the Gorgeous George and the Mae Young and the Wahoo McDaniel of the time, to be able to leave their footprint on someone else that you're seeing now generationally in professional wrestling. I think it was really interesting. Obviously, I should say all of the people that are in the book, opinions are all my own, but I also wanted to make sure that I was seeing this from the vantage point of who has created such a lasting look that we think about these people and we go, oh, yeah, remember WrestleMania 25 when Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker wore, he was wearing all black and he was wearing all white. And it was this beautiful story. How do we tell that in a deeper way that almost goes into the psychology of the match? And so it's been a labor of love. I keep using that, but I think it was my vision, but I wanted to give credit and really tell the story of so many of these people that have dedicated their life to the world of professional wrestling and told their story in that way. And so I'm really honored to be able to do this and create this first of a conversation. And I hope that people see that as well when they start to dive in and read it.
Well, again, you go through guys like Macho Man Randy Savage, The Rock, Taker, Shawn, as you mentioned, Rey Mysterio, who his gear is huge to his character. Bianca Belair is somebody who makes her own gear, I believe. Doesn't Bianca make her own gear?
She does. And we dive into some of those stories because Bianca and I don't mind to give a little spoiler, she wasn't finding someone exactly that was a seamstress or seamster that was making the vision that she had in mind. So she said, you know what, my grandmother taught me to sew. I'll just figure it out on my own. And she doesn't use patterns. She doesn't use lay things out and go, what is the vision for this? She just kind of starts to cut the fabric and figure it out and do it by hand and by eye, which is so magical. And throughout this book, there's so many stories I learned. Every time I interviewed someone, there was a brand new piece of information that came to light. You think about all the interviews that Shawn Michaels has done, and there's a brand new story of the Heartbreak Kid in this book that he had never told before. We all think that Mr. Perfect just said he was a Heartbreak Kid on commentary. The truth is it goes a little bit deeper than that. He had gear that had blobs on his trunks that kind of looked like a heart. And then it is all kind of credited back to an old Western song called Shot Full of Love. And that's where it says in the song, I'm nothing but a heartbreak kid. So it's a story evolution of where we know of the Heartbreak Kid. But before this book, we would have only just thought it was Mr. Perfect saying it on commentary. And again, you have to credit some of that to his gear, to his wardrobe. Even stories with Booker T talking about when he was in Harlem Heat and how their jumpsuit, if you will, that one piece, the little ring that was in the center of his chest, that was actually made from a vacuum cleaner. That was a piece of a vacuum cleaner that the seamstress put together because they needed something durable to hold it. So these are the stories that you think you know everything about professional wrestling until you dive a little bit deeper. And then you get to know the real character. You get to know what happens behind the scenes and that inside baseball, if you will, story that would have never been told if it wasn't for this book.
I mean, my mind is blown by the Shawn Michaels story right now. I've never heard any of that. So, I mean, that's enough to everyone go buy this book. You didn't know that about Shawn Michaels. He's one of my favorites of all time. I had no clue about this. And again, the gear is so important. Really, the whole entrance of a pro wrestler is the most important part sometimes of the entire experience, right? Because when we think of the wrestlers, we think of their mannerisms. We think of, if we're going to dress up as Mach, or we're going to dress up as Booker, or we're going to be even the Hardys. When you think of the Hardys, when it was Team Extreme, and I know there's a picture of them in the book. The mesh shirts that they'd wear, and Lita with her, kind of underwear climbing up her back, and the colorful hair. I mean, that was a look all in itself.
Exactly. And I think when we mention the Hardys, we have to give credit to the Hardys that are still out there at TNA as the world tag team champions, still doing it on such a high level. But when we go back to their early days, and there's a story in there about the Hardys and how, they went to the mall to be able to find their outfits, and it stuck throughout all these years, but we wouldn't know that. I think that a lot of the times fans sit ringside and they go, oh, this person looks cool. But they don't know why they're their favorite. They don't know why they look cool. So a lot of this book, a goal was to be able to break that down in a deeper level, almost a psychology level, to be able to see like how, and I say it's almost a matter of your senses. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? All of this to create this full picture of your favorite character, your favorite star that's coming out on a weekly basis. And so again, I hope this book educates, but also kind of honors and gives homage to these people that have done it for so long, and really just gives them credit for all of their thought that goes behind this book.
Now, Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks for WWE fans out there, still doing it huge in AEW, is one of the top stars in the history of professional wrestling on the women's side. She also has so many great iconic looks, where it's the stronger sunglasses that she'd come out with, the kind of the knuckle rings that she would have, the variety of jackets, and she does the foreword for this book. Why did you reach out to Mercedes to do that in particular?
Man, I really wanted someone that has done so many out-of-the-box looks. I thought about Chris Jericho immediately.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the most evolved wrestlers of all time.
One of the
Then
greats.
I thought about Bianca Belair. I love Bianca, and we created, our conversation. I know Bianca so well from our time in WWE, and so she would have been a perfect fit. And I was like, well, Mercedes has done so many looks that have just transformed and transcended in this industry, from her early Sasha Banks days at NXT even, and WrestleMania looks, to now this Mercedes Moné is a brand new Mercedes Moné at AEW and in Japan. And every week she brings something brand new and creative to the table. And I'm honored that Mercedes was behind the project. She was very adamant that, yes, she wanted to write something. And she got me back to forward within 2 days, which told me that she was excited about this. So having her as a part of this project, another female in professional wrestling, was really fun, and a fun touch, I should say, to this book, and also really important to have her being part of it. I feel so blessed and honored to have her part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just as you were talking, I'm thinking about all the looks that she's had over the last decade plus during her wrestling career. And you're also right, Jericho, I think when it's all said and done and he wraps his career up, we're going to be talking about him as one of the best complete pro wrestlers of all time. I put him in the same category that I put Macho Man. Tell me what they do bad. They do everything great, from the gear to the entrance to the music to the mannerisms to the promo. They could do heel, they could do babyface. The gear is incredible. I mean, Jericho, I see why you wanted to reach out to him.
Yeah, and he's been so supportive of this as well. I think the outrage that I've gotten in general, a lot of these professional wrestlers, it's no secret they're my friends. We've worked together over the years.
Sure.
I had actually never met Jericho before we did this interview, and so we were able to talk. We almost ran out of time during the interview because we were just going down his career and so many stories. But to be able to have the support from Jericho to Rey Mysterio, you mentioned, nobody had asked Rey Mysterio how many masks he actually had in his closet. And so in this book, we were able to find that answer. To then Big E and Kofi Kingston, I just got a message from them and saying, like, McKenzie, we knew this conversation was there, but the way that you aesthetically brought this to life is so important. And seeing pictures of Kofi, pictures to me of his kids reading the book and the smiles on their faces just, again, reiterated that this is bigger than me. It's bigger than just a coffee table book that sits on your coffee table. It's a dream come true to be able to finally, again, create this conversation. I think this opens the door to the Vogues of the world, to maybe the Met Gala for a professional wrestler to really be considered these top icons in the way that they are. So I hope that people get that whenever they read this too.
Okay, so you have to tell me, because Macho Man is my favorite of all time. Macho Man's my favorite. I even have his rap album framed in my house somewhere. Like, that's how much I love the Macho Man. He's on the cover of the book, I think for good reason. But why did you feel like Mach was the perfect person to put on the cover?
Well, we had talked about with my publisher, I wanted to have a legend on the cover so that when you would walk into a bookstore, you'd immediately know who that person was. Mm-hmm. I think Macho Man Randy Savage is in a category almost of his own, of the gear and what he was doing on a weekly basis. I randomly connected to his teamster, which is Michael Braun. Michael Braun lives out of Clearwater, Tampa area. He did everything Jimi Hendrix and Macho Man Randy Savage. Randy was introduced by Hulk Hogan. And so when I was connecting to Braun, he was like, come on down, girl, let's just chat. So I ended up spending time at their house, and he just told me story after story after story about Macho Man, the early days of the Slim Jim commercial, even that story, which actually didn't even make the book because we didn't have enough room for the content. And so after connecting to Braun connected me over to Lynn Toffo, which is Macho Man's widow, and then as well as the family, Jason Mullen, who runs the estate now. So it all just kind of made sense to say, Randy's done so much. He was this larger than life character. When we think about the evolution of Macho Man, very similar to Jericho, as the Macho King. And then he was wearing these jackets, or I guess the capes, and then these fringe jackets that were so cool and eclectic. And so it just made sense to have Randy on the cover and getting the blessing of Randy's family. Their goal, again, from their side, was we just want to carry on Randy's legacy. And this gives a brand new, fresh look to it. So being able to honor him and his work and everything that he did in his career and getting their blessing, it all came together seamlessly. And I think the photo really grabs your attention, and that's something we wanted it to do. We wanted to put love in the details. And I think that the photo of Macho on the front is just perfectly fitting.
Oh, it's a beautiful picture. I don't even know if I've ever seen that photo of Macho Man. So I cannot wait to dive into this book. I get it today. I cannot wait for it. It's Threads of Triumph, Professional Wrestling's Most Iconic Looks by McKenzie Mitchell. McKenzie, before I let you out of here, I've told you my GOAT. Who's your pro wrestling GOAT?
Oh, I think there's so many, right?
Hard.
Like if we think about a Mount Rushmore, I love Seth Rollins. There's so many that we could classify as the GOAT. But I would say Seth Rollins is one of my favorite, not because I have made his jewelry and we've worked together on a deeper level of being a designer, but I think that Seth is so comfortable in who he is, and we've seen him transform himself from the Shield to the Seth Rollins that we know today. And so I would have to say Seth and what he's bringing to the table. He finds new ways to reinvent himself, and it's always interesting. So Seth Rollins is my pick, has to be. It's not a bad pick. It's not a bad pick at all, especially from the fashion perspective and everything he does in the ring. He's one of the greats. McKenzie, I do appreciate it. Congratulations on the book. Such a labor of love, and now it's out for everybody. Again, Threads of Triumph, Professional Wrestling's Most Iconic Looks. Get it now wherever books are sold. McKenzie, thank you again. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate you.